We give thanks to All Saints Anglican Church for their efforts in making sure that 1410 Charleston Avenue has a new definition. Not defined by a fateful day on the night of April 22nd, 2005, but a definition that provides hope to each of us. Today, we are here to celebrate restoration. A restoration oftentimes is defined to bring back that which was previously. Honestly, I don't know that we want to bring back everything that was going on May 22nd, 2005, and the days before. Those members of the family of those who were lost, absolutely, we would love to be able to bring those back. But our challenge today, our challenge every day since, has to be able to provide some sense in the unthinkable and to be able to drive forward and make something of value and of worth of what occurred that night. May 22nd. 2005, Edric Clark, Michael Dillon, Megan Poston, Dante Ward were taken from us in a senseless act of violence. December 14th, 2007, Leah Hickman lost her life only to have her body found 7 days later on December 21st, when her body was discovered. Since that time, 2005 to 2014, there have been 47 killings from that moment to this. 47 acts of senseless violence. 2001 to 2015, 547 deaths by overdose. Since January 1st of this year, in Huntington and Cabell County, 322 overdoses. 26 deaths by overdose. This is senseless. This makes no sense. We are here to proclaim a day of hope. But it seems absolutely hopeless when we hear of these senseless acts of violence. We understand when Christ was on the cross, when he was saying, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" Recognizing at that moment that God was absolutely separated from mankind at that moment. "My God, why have you forsaken me?" Imagine the families that received that phone call on the morning of May 22nd, saying that your baby has breathed its last breath. Imagine the father that received the phone call on December 21st and saying the worst has been confirmed. Your baby girl is not coming home again. "My God, why have you forsaken me?" John Donne wrote in 1624, ages ago, hundreds of years ago, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if on a promontory were, as if a manner of thy friends or of thine own were, any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for me. It tolls for thee." These words, as ancient as they sound, speak directly to that moment when the families were saying, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" When we hear this time and again, we ask, "Why, God, are you forsaking us?" But if you read further, and recognized that Christ was actually quoting from the psalmist. In Psalm 22:1, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? My God, I cry out by day, but you don't answer. By night, and I find no rest. But then there's hope. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the one Israel praises. In you, our ancestors put their trust. They trusted, and you delivered them. To you, they cried out and were saved. In you, they were trusted and not put to shame. The message from the Lord from ancient times to today. We put our faith where our mothers and fathers placed them, and that's where we have the hope of restoration. That's where the hope of restoration resides with this community today, and that's where the hope of restoration has occurred within our community in these 10 years. A definition of restoration has several different definitions. One is the act of returning something to its original condition by repairing it or cleaning it. The act of bringing something back that which existed before. Or the act of returning something that was stolen or taken. Each of these defines restoration for us. The children, the young adults whose lives were stolen from us. We want something brought back that was here before. We want to bring it back in a condition and clean it so that we might have it as it was before. The question comes, what do we want? We have to answer that question every single day in every journey that we undertake. What is it that we truly want? Do we bring something back as it was before? We love to be able to rest upon the fond memories of days gone by, but do we really want to bring that was before? Because if we were bringing it back as it was before, we wouldn't have the lessons that we have today. There was one time a minister was placing a question before us, is that if you were given the opportunity to see yourself face to face 20 years from now, what would you change? There are those who have that opportunity that start to contemplate that. They think, well, I wouldn't change a thing. But would you? Oh, I remember a day. If I was face to face with me 20 years previous, 30 years previous, would I give myself an instruction? Steve, don't take that drive that night. Steve, don't get into that car and go in this direction that night. Would I tell myself? Would I give myself the warning? When that question was posed to me, frankly, I came to the conclusion, no, I would remain quiet, because I've come to understand, because of those stumbles that I had, made me the man that I am today. I don't want a restoration, but I do want to have a transformation. A transformation to change something completely, and usually in a good way. To change my very character and condition. There has been a transformation, as in so many of your own lives. Do you want a restoration of that which you didn't understand before? Or would you rather be transformed into that person who you've come to understand today? To be able to stand with the strength of a mended, broken bone. Because where that bone has been broken, it has mended back stronger than it was before. Or would you prefer to have a conversion? A conversion to change something into a different form, used in a different way. Would you want to go back to that person that you were in 2005? Would you want to be be able to go back to what you were in 2000? Would this city want to go back to the way it was in 1950? Absolutely not. In this time, we have come to learn that in order to stand together, just as my friend Councilwoman Clemens said, a stick in a bundle, because a bundle of sticks can't be broken, where we come to stand together. I believe that everyone has an assignment. It's your assignment. If it's not completed, it's not going to be done. Our challenge here on this earth, in this community, is to understand what is it that we were placed on this earth to do. And I know that, and absolutely believe that we know in our soul what that assignment is to be. Now, make no mistake about it. It will take sometimes years for you to be able to realize that assignment. But it's your responsibility. It's no one else's responsibility to identify what that assignment will be. And once you understand and realize that, then you have the joy of seeing it mature and evolve to fully understand what you need to do. What does the Lord say to us in the Old Testament in Micah? He says, we are simply to do justice, to love kindness, and walk humbly with your God. He's not saying walk humbly with God, your God, indicating that this is a very personal relationship, a relationship for you to understand what it is that you are supposed to do, what your assignment is expected to be. This is the very thing that each of us are expected to do. We are a community. Regardless of our ethnic origins, because of where else we have lived, we are here in this community today, coming from every condition in life, to stand, as the word defines, in common unity. In common unity. It's our responsibility to understand within this community, standing in common unity, what your assignment is, what you're expected to do, what you have to offer. That person that is sitting right next to you, right in front of you, right behind you, those who you can't even see, you have a responsibility to them. And if you don't fulfill that responsibility, something falls short. Let me read from 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Just as a body, though one has many parts, but all its many parts form one body. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. Now, if the foot says, because I'm not a hand, I don't belong to the body. If I'm not a preacher, I'm not the body. If I'm not the mayor, I choose not to be part of the community. It would not, for that reason, stop being part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I don't belong to the body, would it for that reason stop being part of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as He wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. What is your assignment? What is it that you are expected to do? The heavens weep when we think of those faithful days 10 years ago. How do we prevent something of that nature from ever occurring again? Again, we can go to the scriptures and recognize in Romans 8:28, it says, all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to His purpose. What's your assignment going to be? The assignments that have been bestowed upon us these 10 years in this community is setting standards that nobody in the nation is set to follow. I just came back from New York City, speaking to others about what we're attempting to do, and what amazed me, up in New York City, where they do everything bigger, everything brighter, everything better, and have so much more of what we're doing. And as I continue to ask person after person, the way our churches are coming together in Huntington, the way that we stand together in Huntington, the different groups that are coming together in Huntington, I ask them, tell me someone else who's doing this so that we might be able to learn from them. And they look at me and they say, Mayor, what's happening in your city isn't happening anywhere else. Amen. You have something that's occurring in your city that can change the world. Not change the nation, but to change the world. What is our assignment? Our assignment is to look out for one another, to join arm in arm, hand in hand. We continue to hear that we have to have prevention, treatment, and law enforcement. Constantly, prevention, treatment, and law enforcement. Constantly saying to us, there is no silver bullet, but there is a silver bullet. There is a silver bullet within this community. It's when we stand together in faith, worshiping a God that knows that what we are trying to do here on this earth, we do have a silver bullet that we are able to call upon. And the beauty of it is in this community, we have churches, synagogues, mosques, all coming together in a mosaic of faith. In a mosaic of faith where we can understand and learn what our individual assignment is. In the last 10 years, in the United Way, the Cabell County Coalition for Substance Abuse Prevention, CSAP, was formed as a result of what happened on May 22nd. Lifehouse, Healing Place, Her Place, Lily's Place. We've created an Office of Drug Control Policy, and what we're finding as we start talking to federal, state, and other private and public foundations, something very special is occurring here in this community. Yes, we did, and we constantly call out, my God, why have you forsaken me? But we have come to understand since that day, we're not standing alone. We're standing with him right by our side, arm in arm with us, and on the shoulders of Edric Clark, Michael Dillon, Megan Post, Dante Ward, and Leah Hickman. We stand together and say, not in this town, not in this city, not in this nation, not in this world, because we stand together. Amen. Amen.